All right, so welcome back to my streams. I haven't been streaming for a while, and so now I'm getting back into it. I think it's been like 3 months or something like that, because last time I streamed was sometime in June. I'm not sure when, but I'm getting back into it now. And if you don't know what we're going to be doing today, I figured I will show you. So I created kind of a little overview of what we're going to be doing today. So let's have a look. All right. So what we're going to build is a productivity app, and this is going to be a series called Building an App from Scratch that I'm also going to upload on YouTube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream every Monday between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. And we're going to basically build this app real time. I'm going to build it live. And kind of what it's going to be is a productivity app. I recently listened to a podcast with Tim Ferriss, and he had, or the Tim Ferriss Show, his podcast, and he had a guest called David Allen, which has a book called Getting Things Done, which is kind of a productivity system. And so when I heard about that, I kind of realized that the system is similar to what I do. And what I do is I basically write down all the things that I come up with that I want to do, want to get done. And then I kind of sort that into what do I need to do tomorrow. And I kind of try to write down on like post-it notes. So you can see here, I have a little post-it note with a couple to-dos for today. And I try to limit it to about 2 to 3 things that I need to get done. And this app is essentially going to be kind of a way for me to do that with my phone instead of using all these post-it notes and random like envelopes and things that I use. So the way that his system works is that you kind of have like an in tray where you just put all the things that you come up with, all the things that are on your mind, and basically you just write down all the things that you can think of that are on your mind, and then you put that in your in tray, so to speak, and then you kind of schedule times to go through that in tray and sort through the things and kind of pick the things that you like, set kind of deadlines for different things. I haven't read the entire book yet. I've kind of flipped through it. I just got it like a couple days ago. But that's kind of the idea is you have a place where you can just write down tons of notes or like tasks that you come up with, and then you can go back to that list and sort through it and set like days when you want to be finished with that or deadlines for the things. And right now I currently use mostly like Evernote I've tried to use Evernote for these sort of things, but what I find is that it's a little bit too unstructured, so it's not very easy to just go into Evernote and start typing out things that you think of. So what I want to do is I want to build an app where I can just open up the app and write down anything as soon as I come up with an idea or a thought. I just want to be able to write it down straight away. And then I want to be able to also in that app have a list of all the things, or I want to have an easily overviewable list of all those things that I've come up with that I can then sort through and kind of categorize into different projects and then set deadlines for those different tasks. So this is the kind of an overview image of what we're going to build. We're going to build a productivity app, and we're going to build the front end using Flutter. And what we're going to go through in all of these different videos in this series is going to be app design, and then also turning the design into an actual app within Flutter. And then we're also going to build out the back end for this, because I feel like this might be a good idea or a good chance to actually build out a back end for this kind of app. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a REST API using Python and Flask, and we're also going to create an SQL database. And we're also going to kind of figure out how to then actually publish this thing, which I don't really know how, I don't know the details of how to get it online so that you can actually use it for real. I just know sort of how to build a REST API and also a little bit about SQL databases. And then we're also going to go through kind of safely storing the different, safely storing user data. So that means like storing the passwords, storing like kind of, what would you call it? Sensitive information of your users, essentially. So that's kind of the overview of what we're going to do. And what we're going to do today is going to be app design. So we're going to focus on just kind of building out a design for this app. I already have like the first screen. So I kind of have, so what I do is I usually go to Pinterest and then I look at different app designs and try to kind of come up with different ideas for how to make the different components that I want to make within the app, and then also try to find a color theme. So the color theme that I've picked is going to be this kind of red and dark gray, and then the white. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and open up Adobe XD, and then we're going to get to actually designing the app. All right, so I've also created a note here in Evernote where I have kind of built or written up a general structure for what I think the app is going to be. So I want one screen is going to be the in tray, and that's where you should be able to add tasks, and that should be the first screen that opens up. So, and it should be really simple to add a task. It should be super, like, it should be very clear how to add a new task. And then this should just basically be an entire giant list where you can just write down more and more tasks. And as soon as you add like deadlines or categorize the different tasks, they should be removed from that list. So you kind of clear them by setting a deadline or a date for that task, or you clear them by adding them to another project, and then maybe that project is in that list. And let's have a look at the other things. Yeah, so the second screen that I want is going to be the today view. So one of them is going to be the in tray where you have all the tasks, and then the next screen is going to be today, and that's going to default to today. So then you see the tasks that you've planned to do today. And here I want you also to be able to actually see the entire week. So you can choose between either the day, week, month, or year to kind of get an overview, because maybe you set like 10 tasks to do tomorrow, and then you wake up tomorrow and you see like, oh my God, I have 10 tasks today. A good thing would be if you can get an overview of your entire week, so you can kind of see, okay, I've planned way too many things for tomorrow, so I might have to postpone some of those things or do them today or something like that. So that's going to be the second screen, and the third screen is going to be projects. And I want you to essentially be able to just make as many projects as you want, and sub projects as well. So it could be a main project, and within that you could have a sub project, and then within that you can have a sub project. And I want that to kind of be like an infinite list, so that you can just keep adding new sub projects essentially. Because I feel like that's one of the things that I'm missing from some of the other apps that I've looked at. Usually you can add like subtasks to a task, but you can't keep adding subtasks and subtasks. Yeah. And then also I want to be able to see the completed tasks, because I feel like that can be both kind of satisfying to be able to see the task that you've actually completed, And also it might be actually helpful to see the ones that you've completed so that you can go back and see like if you want to redo something or fix something that you thought you were completed with but you actually weren't, or something like that. And then we also want the profile page, which is basically going to be just like any other profile page, I think. Yeah, and then I also created a list of classes. So I kind of sort of what I think a class might look like, or the classes might look like. So we have a projects class, which is going to contain a list of tasks, and then we have a class called tasks, and that's going to contain lists that can contain then lists of tasks as well. And that is something that I want to do so that we can just keep adding tasks to subtasks to tasks. And then I've kind of just, and this is just very rough and kind of on the fly, I just made this up pretty quickly, so I might have to add certain extra things or maybe take away some things, I'm not sure. But we have some dates and some strings for like the ID, and also for a note if you for the actual task, so maybe you want to write something down a little bit more. And then we have a class called support file, and this is something that I got from the book, and that is essentially maybe you want to add something like a website or something like that, or maybe a document where you want to write down things that you might need for that task to be able to complete it. I think this is going to be a really good thing to have. All right, but that's kind of just a quick little overview of what the app is going to be able to do. And now we'll get into actually designing the app. So I have this tool here called SIP, I think, SIP, and that basically has something where you can just press any color and then you copy that color or the hex code for that color, which is really useful when you're kind of building these sort of things. So what we want to do is we want to set the background here to be this dark gray, and then we want to add a white square like so. So this first screen I've already kind of designed, so I know kind of what I want this to look like. Let's actually open up, because I've already designed that, so I might not redo it. Open recent, node design. Okay, so here we go. So that's kind of what I want it to look like. Let's also change this for in-tray, like so. And then that color I don't really like. This color was the one that turned into this color when you when I added it to the app, or in Flutter. It turned into this kind of a little bit less distinct red. Alright, so that's going to be our first screen, I think. And what I want you to also be able to do is swipe between different screens, so that it's not just so that each screen is a little bit more accessible. Now we're going to play around a little bit with what kind of navigation bar we want. We could have a navigation bar up here, or we could have one down here. Because I kind of want some either at the top or at the bottom a navigation bar. You could have it in other places as well, of course. So you could have something like this. But we might actually want it up top, because I like this, where it's like it just goes straight down into the end of the screen, basically. That the list goes all the way down like so. And one of the things that I would like is that when you press one of these tasks, that it would open up something like, let's copy that and paste it. Open up to something like this. So that you get an overview of, all right, let's go with this one, 0. So something like that. So when you press the task, it would open up like this, and you would get a more detailed view of like maybe the subtasks or something like that. Maybe also the deadline for the task. So that's kind of why I like when there's no navigation bar at the bottom, but also that having a navigation bar at the top kind of is a little bit less user-friendly, I feel like, because it's usually difficult to reach the top of the screen to press. So having things at the bottom is usually going to be a little bit better because it's easier to press there. But since we're going to have the swiping function, I think we can still get away with a top navigation screen or navigation bar. So we're of course going to have to also design the icons for this. So we're just going to go 10. So I'm just going to add something that is going to look close to what we want it to look like, but it's not going to look like the final icon. All right, and 3. Okay. All right, so I'm thinking something like this. I don't, like the icons don't look that great right now, but I think this is sort of what I want for it. Yep, so, and then also let's actually copy that. Okay, and then go with 12. All right, so this would then be the page where you see the specific day, so today then, and this would be the page where you see things like the different projects that you've created. And yeah, so that's essentially going to be our navigation bar. We're going to, of course, go into actually how to design the different icons, and we're not going to use these sort of icons, but right now this doesn't matter too much. We just want to get an overview and kind of an idea of what the app is going to end up looking like. So there we go. Now we need to design the today or week or month page. So that's going to be this page right there. All right, maybe we should just go to Pinterest and see if we can find some nice designs for this. I like that. So this thing where you see, so you see like it says 25th of March, and then I'm guessing you can press the 24th or the 26th, and maybe you can even scroll that list. I think that looks really good because and it would work really well for this because we want to show the date of today. And then you also want to be able to go back and forth, so you can go to yesterday or you can go to tomorrow and check what tasks you have planned for tomorrow. So I think that is a good idea actually. Okay, so now you kind of need to figure out, so if we look at this thing, we can see that, I don't know if you can, I don't know where we'll end up right now, but we'll see. Yeah, so you can see that there's like this thing up here, and then there's another one down below it. So essentially we want to create something like that we need to pick, it's really difficult to speak and to think at the same time when you like try to think of how to build these different things. So that's kind of why I get lost sometimes. Anyway, what we need to figure out is what color to use. So we know that we have these three colors to kind of work with, the red, the gray, and the white. So I think either we go with red or white, of course, but the question is, so we're just going to try it. Usually what I do is I do one version of each. So we'll do one version where it's white and then one version where it's red, and then we'll kind of compare them, and maybe you guys can give me some suggestions on which one you like the best. So I think we're going to go with something like that, and then we're going to add another one on top. Oh. All right. No border, but shadow. That's good. Okay, so I think that's gonna be kind of what it should look like. Something like that, and then add a shadow to this as well. And maybe 6. and make that a little bit darker. All right, I don't know if that shows up even. Okay, so there we go, and then let's add some dates. Probably 70. All right, so like that, maybe even a little bit bigger, and maybe have it be thin as well. We're basically just copying what they've done here already, but that's kind of what I do usually. I find something that I like, and then I copy some of it, and then I add some of my own things to it as well. So we'll go with 90. I'm gonna have it be really big. Okay. $24, $26, and this one should be a little bit lower on the opacity. How low did we go? 30%, I think. All right, 30% here as well. Okay. And then we want to make the size a little bit smaller, so maybe 60. Nope. Is that too small? No, I think that looks good. What do we set it to? 60? Yep. All right, so something like that I think is what it's gonna look like. Yeah, and then we have even more, so we can go copy this, paste, and we're gonna go 23. And then we're gonna make that maybe 40. Yep, and then we're gonna make it even less. So maybe 15. All right, that's pretty good. $27. Okay, yeah. So I kind of like that. I think it looks really good. Okay, so that's that thing done, somewhat. Maybe we should have some text as well. All right, we won't add text right now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna copy all of these things. We don't need to copy that right now. Okay. And then within here is where we're gonna have the list of all the tasks for that day. So something like this. And then the question is whether we want it to look exactly the same, because I feel like that's going to be kind of boring to have it look exactly the same as this list. It's going to make it not really stand out. We're not going to the user might not even realize that they're on a different page. So I want to make it a little bit different, but I'm not sure exactly what we're gonna do to make it different. What we could do is have it be something like this, where that is in the middle, and then we have like a list of subtasks or something. Or we could do something like similar to what this one did as well, and just have it be like kind of this sort of list, where there's just a like a little divider between all the different tasks. Okay, so let's think. Yeah, well, in the meantime, while we're also thinking about that, we can try this thing with the red, instead of white for the top part. So I'm gonna move that to here, and then we're gonna paste it. All right, let's copy the background color, paste that here. All right, there we go. So that, all right, yep. I forget where I'm going with it, why I'm doing certain things. All right, copy that, set this to be that color, set that to be that color as well. So I mean, that looks pretty good too, and that kind of makes this page stand out a little bit more as well. I'm not sure whether we're gonna, I don't know which one do you guys think is the best one? I'd love to know, just so that I wonder if you can make like a vote. Does anyone know if you can make a vote sort of thing in Twitch in the chat? Because I think that would be really cool if I can just like post either one or two, and then you guys can vote on which one you think is the best. But if you just write in the chat one is going to be this screen, and 2 is this screen. If you just write down 1 or 2 in the chat, then I can see which one you feel like is the better looking one. All right, and let's go have a look at what this was. Okay. Two. Let's see. Okay. 2. Okay, so most people seem to think 2, and then one of you were asking what about with just white? So we're going to try it with just white as well, because I think that might be a good idea too. All right, let's paste it. So that is what white looks like. Let's make the shadow just a little bit less harsh. Something like that. All right, so most people seem to think that number 2, so this one is the better looking one. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I think this looks pretty good too. But I feel like this is also more consistent with the other screen maybe. So I think for right now, unless something else happens. Unless something crazy happens, we're gonna go with this one, I think. All right, and let's try white here. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good too. Actually, the thing is, I was going for, or I was gonna go for more of like bluish and kind of light green colors, because I was googling like what are calm colors, because I wanted this to be something where when you go into it you don't feel like you're behind on things, or you don't feel stressed when you go into it, so you want to have like kind of calm colors. I don't know how much that actually affects people, but I feel like that might be a little bit of a nice touch to it. But I was trying different colors in different color schemes, and I didn't really like the green and blue and that sort of stuff. It didn't really look the way that I wanted it to look. So I feel like this looks better. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, but I think it was about this being white compared to being black. Having it be white makes it stand out a little bit more, so depends on like which one makes it less like screamy, if that makes sense, because I want it to have that sort of calm feeling, so that you feel like you want to go into the app. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm just like rambling on right now. Anyway, let's see if we can figure out a way to make this look good. Okay, so shopping list. We're probably... Okay. Yeah, so that's the title of the to-do. Okay, let's copy that color. No fill, and the size should be like 3. Okay, shopping list, there we go, we have that. And then we probably want like a subtitle under that, so that could be like subtasks or something like that, or maybe you have a note. I'm not sure exactly what we're gonna have to display here, but this, I think we could have something maybe to display. This is my shopping list. Okay, have that be like 15. Yep. And also be red. We're probably going to have it be a little bit less, so that it kind of, because we want the title to stand out, similar to what they've done here. They make the title stand out really quite well, and then the subtitle or whatever is beneath it is a little bit blurred out, or a little bit less, what would you call it, like less, it doesn't stand out as much. Or maybe we just go with slightly darker. All right, something like that. I think that's going to be kind of what it's going to look like. And then we want a divider. So a divider between each task, I think. something like this. And the color of this, should that be white? Like, I'm just trying different things to see which one I kind of think looks good. I do like this. I think that did look kind of good. Yeah, so maybe I'm actually pretty happy with that. So we're going to copy that, paste it, and then we're going to put this one below. Oh. That, paste, put that below. All right. So I think that does look pretty good. Pick up Joe. Need to pick up Joe. Buy furniture. More furniture. Okay, so that, I think that looks pretty good actually for a list. And then maybe in here is actually where you, when you press one of the items on that list, you can then get kind of a view of, a little bit more detailed view of that task. So that would look, again, something like what I just showed you before with the pop-up screen kind of coming from below. So if you press one of the tasks, it would show up like this, and you would get the title of the task and then some of the subtasks. Maybe you can even scroll here and you can see all the subtasks for that list or for that task. I'm not sure how to make that as nice as possible, because I want to make it super simple. That's kind of what I always try to do when I build an app. I want to make it, there's I don't know, there's some sort of quote that's like the product or whatever idea it was is finished when there's nothing else to take away. And that's kind of what I like to think of when I build certain apps as well, is I want to have as little as possible to actually help you get the job that you want to get done. So for instance, here you want to show as little as possible to get sort of an idea of what that task is. And then when you press the task, you want that to be a really like simple way and intuitive way to show it as well. Because let's say that we have this thing here, and when you press that, it turns into something like this when it's done. So this is going to take me a while to explain, maybe. Maybe I'm putting too much effort into explaining this. Okay, let's copy this color. All right, and no border. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking that it's going to look like when you've completed a task. You press it, and this circle fills in. And then I think it should get removed from the list, or it should get moved into a something down here where it says like completed or something like that, so that you don't have to actually see, so that you don't have to see all the things that you've already done, so they don't have to clog up your list essentially. But that also means that you need to be able to press this to make sure that it's done, but then you also need to be able to press this to get to the subtasks of that list, of that task. And that is something I'm not sure how to do properly, because if you use something like this, then it's pretty intuitive that this whole red area is going to be a button that you can press. So if you press that, then or if you tap on that, you know that we're pretty used to the fact that when we tap something like that, it's going to be a button and it's going to do something. And compared to this thing, which is not, it's not super intuitive that this is actually a button. So even if this entire area is a button, it's not super intuitive. So people might not think of actually pressing it. So what you could do is you could add something like a button here on the side where you can, if you tap that, then you get to the specific task. Or you could just hope that people understand that they can just press this as a task. Or we could do something else. We could do this and make something like that. Have that be the same color as the background, maybe. Okay, and then we need to add a shadow to it. And some borders, maybe 20. Okay, so that doesn't really show up at all. Yeah, so this is one of those problems that we're gonna need to be able to figure out how to make this really intuitive, because what I want to be able to do as well is to be able to hold, like if you long press on this, I want you to be able to actually move the different tasks and switch them, so you switch the order of the tasks, because what I want to be able to do is add some sort of priority variable, so you could have, so that this list will then be ordered by priority. So the thing that you think is most important should be at the top, and the things that are less important should be at the bottom. And then I want you to, like I said, also be able to actually move these tasks like so, just by tapping it and moving it. And I don't know how to do all of this in the best way, because I really like the dividers here, the white. I think that the list just ends up looking really good, but it also becomes very unintuitive how to move different things, and that you can move different things compared to like this thing where you feel like you can press that and move it maybe. So we need to come up with something for that. But I think maybe we should just leave this for now and move on to another screen. So that's then going to be our view of the day for now. Now we also want to be able to view the week. So that should probably look very similar. Oh. So something like this, but maybe instead of these numbers corresponding to days, it should correspond to a week. So that could be week 43, or anyway, it could be week 25, 26, 27, but that's going to be an entire week then. So now what we need to figure out essentially is how do we display an entire week's worth of tasks in a way that is again intuitive and is really easily overviewable. So I think we're gonna have something like these lists, but if you maybe make them even smaller so that you make them like really tiny, maybe. Only that they don't get smaller. Okay, so let's think. Oh. Thursday. Friday. I don't know if this is like super boring to watch or whether it is somewhat interesting. I'm hoping that it's kind of a little bit of both. I feel like this should be something, I want these streams to be kind of like we're hanging out and coding or building things, and you can just have this on in the background, or you could be coding at the same time. And it should just be kind of a relaxed little thing. Anyway. All right, let's see, 20, 20, 20. All right, and move that to the middle. Okay, so it's something like that, maybe. And I like that the colors are a little bit faded so that they're not popping as much, but I'm gonna try it with the sharper color just to see kind of what that looks like. Yeah, so maybe we should go with the sharper color actually. All right, there we go. Now we need to figure out a nice way to kind of display all the days. Because the thing is, right now, what I'm thinking in my head, I'm gonna try to explain all the things that I think of as I do this. What I'm thinking is that we have a lot of real estate here on the screen that we're not going to use, or that doing this method, we're not going to use it that much, because that would mean that the entire Monday list would be this long, which if it's going to fit within this space, it's unlikely to be that long. If that makes sense, because all the tasks are going to be like super small, so you would have to have like 1,000 tasks to be able to use up all this space, which is going to be unlikely. So this looks really good, but I feel like there's so little space under here that we can actually use for each day that it really makes it difficult. Oh. Holden, will you do a video tutorial about the programs you use to create a program interface? Programs interface. Yeah, so I don't know, Bola12, if you might not have been watching since the start, but this, I don't know if that was what you were asking for, but this software that I'm using to design the app is called Adobe XD, which is this program here. And that's essentially what I use all the time when I design apps. I hope that answered your question. And also regarding like doing a complete tutorial on this, I'm not even that great at it. I just basically pick these different objects, and then that's what I use to create the UI essentially. All right, so the question is, what kind of way can we display the week? So my thoughts right now are this. We could do something like this, where you have a little card or something for each day. if that would even fit on the screen. I don't think it will. Okay, so we could have something like that for each day where you have just a very, very tiny list of all the tasks, but that's not very useful because then, I mean, the reason for having an overview of your week is to see how many tasks do I have for each day and kind of what those tasks are. So the way that we could do it and still have this interface would be if this is the view that you see, and then if you press one of these days, then you get also something like this. So an entire list of all the tasks for that day. So something like that, and delete that. So that could be a way to do it, so that we get that, and then we have, all right, let me just finish this the way that I want it. So something like this, so that when you press the specific day, you then see the entire list of all the tasks for that day, and then you can go through all the days. But then you also see a tiny list here of all the tasks. Not sure if that is really that great, because what you want to do is essentially what we want, like I said, is to see how many tasks do I have for each day, so that we know then whether we can postpone something for another day, or whether we need to do something that we plan to do tomorrow, whether we need to take something that we plan to do tomorrow and do it today because we have way too much stuff to do tomorrow. So in order for that kind of interaction with this list to work, you would have to actually be able to see probably all, if not just most of the tasks for each day. So I think maybe a better way would be to divide it in some way. So maybe have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday up here and get a little bit more space for them. And then you can have Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday on or down below. So let's see here. How big do we need the cards to be? Probably something like that. Okay. Okay. So now I just came up with another thing that might work, which would be to have it be like a scrolling list. So you can scroll through the days, which might not be that important, or which may feel a little bit like we're doing the same thing twice, because if we have a scrolling list here where you can scroll through the different days, then that would be pretty similar to this scrolling list here where you can scroll through the different days. So, because what I was thinking is you could have just something like that and you would just be able to scroll through the entire week. But that probably isn't useful enough for it to be worth doing. Okay. All right, so now it's in the middle. Now we can have it like this. All right, so something like that maybe. I think this might work, but the thing is that, oh shit. We would still we would still not see the entire week. So I think this is one of those really interesting problems that I think is something that all really great apps and really great, like if you think of the iPhone when that came out, kind of the way that they did things and the way that you interacted with the phone is a big part of why everyone liked the iPhone compared to previous phones or previous touch phones and other things. And I think that's still something that a lot of people like about iPhone in particular, is kind of the user interface and how thought out some of the interactions are. So that's why I like these sort of problems, because I feel like this is where, if you work on this really hard, you can come up with something that's really quite useful, and it's also a great experience to have when you're using the app. So you kind of I want to sort of focus on this to make sure that it's, even though it's a really simple thing to just display a week, it's something that I don't see really very well done in many places. Even if you look at like Google Calendar, I don't think that is done very well. I think it's done okay, but it's like you can probably do it better. But maybe I can't do it better. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday would end up down here, which I don't really like, because then we would have just one lone day here with nothing on the side. And fitting more than this, so fitting like 4 on one thing like this, I think is going to be too much as well. It's going to make the cards too small, I think. So I wish it was just like 6 days. It would have been so much better. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think using some like loop scroll will be good, where 3 days appear on top. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the question is, if we scrap this thing, so the top part, whether we can actually fit 7 days. Like cards, but that's not super useful either. Or is it? So what I'm thinking is like, what if we made it, I think one of you guys suggested something maybe similar to what I'm doing now. A scrollable list essentially with all the days, something like this. It's very basic, where you just would scroll through and you'd see like, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but this doesn't really give that overview that I want. I really want an overview so that you can just see, okay, this is what this week looks like. So, What about a full width card for Sunday? That might not be as tall. Yeah, you could use a full width card. The only thing is that even this sort of width for the cards, I feel like the text for each card, like let's say that you have 10 tasks or something for that day, it wouldn't really fit on the card very well, I feel like, and it also wouldn't really take up, if let's say you made 10 tasks fit on this card, then all the tasks would be the text would have to be really small, so that would mean that the text would probably only fill up like a really small part of the card. So really the real estate that you want is going to be down, I feel like, and to the side I don't think it mattered. Like if you made it like super thin and to the side, you could fit like an entire year almost on one page, but then you wouldn't really be able to see the tasks. I mean, this of course is super small as well, so you would hardly be able to see the tasks either, but I don't know, it's difficult for sure. Okay. Okay, one Marco said, what about a list like today's page divided by days? I'm not sure what you mean by that. A list like today's page dividing by days. You mean something like this, and then each thing like that would be a weekday. So this would be Monday, containing all of the tasks for Monday. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. So something like this, essentially. Then, what if we made it even thinner? So all the question is really, how thin can we make these cards? Because if we can, essentially if we made them this thin, then we would be able to fit all the days on one screen. Or in one row, essentially. But if we make them too thin, then there really won't be able to fit any text on there that would be readable to a user. So it's kind of this balance between what's like, how small can we make it and still have the user be able to read it. So we'll see, maybe we can fit 4 days. Okay. The thing is also that for what we're going to build first is going to be like this app. I'm going to publish this app when we're done with it to the Google Play and the App Store. And what I want to do is I want to work through it and kind of create a minimum viable product. So essentially the simplest thing that I can make that still has all the things that I want. And then we can iterate on that and make it even better. And hopefully what I want is for you guys to actually be able to have some input into this and help make this even better. Not sure whether this is actually going to be a good app or anything, but I think it might be a fun thing to do, to have to just build it and show the entire process of building it, and then also keep like working on it and iterating and making changes and having the input from you guys to make it something that we all can use, hopefully. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think this size is going to be okay. So let's copy this and paste it. And then what we want to do is we want to set that color to be this one. Okay, and then make that super small. Start with 10. Okay, oh yeah, that seems, I mean 10 isn't super small, I don't think. It's pretty small for a person to be able to read it on the screen, but I think it's okay. So if you have like several items, I want it to look something like that, and then we would have something like this. Turn that into a 1 in thickness. Oh, that's so stupid. Something like that. Right. Delete, delete. So then you would have just a bunch of these items on each card, which is going to be the title of each task that you have. And that's then going to give you kind of an overview of what you need to get done that week. I don't really like that it's separated and that the bottom ones are different sizes. Even if I made them the same size, it would mean that we would have some sort of space in here, which I don't really like either. Let's try to do this actually, just to see whether that might work, or whether that makes it look better. Okay. Because I feel like when you look at this and you see this thing, I mean, if it was just that, it would be a super clear overview of your week. So if that was 7 days, it would be super clear. But I mean, I think this is good enough for a minimum viable product, but in the end, I would probably want to come up with some way of making this even more detailed. I mean, you could do the list where it's like it just continues here, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Why don't I like that? I don't like that because you don't see the entire week. But I don't like this because it kind of, I don't know how to put it in a way that's kind of understandable, but I feel like this would be, you're kind of used to seeing weeks looking something like this. So in calendars, in like real calendars, so not Google Calendar or anything like that, they usually look something like this. They're like lined up and you can see each day of the week. So seeing some days up here and then some days down here kind of makes it a little bit like, I feel like I'm not at least used to seeing that, so it kind of makes it look a little bit strange. One thing that could be done as well could be to have like, but that, I think this what I'm gonna show you now is gonna be like way too different to make it work. You could have like 1 in the middle and then 3 up top and 3 down the bottom. Okay, that's not a good idea. That is way too out there to actually work, I think. So now I'm just like populating the screen with some titles, just so that I can see what it might end up looking like, so that we can get even more, or understand even more, whether this is actually gonna look good or whether it's gonna not work at all. I mean, it looks okay. Yeah, but it feels like it just looks okay. It doesn't look great. Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. But it's been about 1 hour and 30 minutes. I was just gonna stream for 1 hour today. So I've gone a little bit over the time, but I feel like we've got a lot of stuff done. And I think that this is good enough to get started on some of the actual app design, or like building the app, I mean. So I think we're gonna call it a day right now. And then we're gonna be back next Monday and we're gonna actually build this out. So we're gonna start by building this screen out, and then I think we're probably just gonna be able to build that screen out for the first stream. And then move on to the other screens as well. And during the weeks, I'm gonna try to come up with a design that I like more than this. But right now I feel like this is the best that I can come up with for displaying an entire week. So yeah, I think that's gonna be what we'll go with. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm really excited to actually be able to use this app, because I feel like this is something that I've been waiting for a while, and I've been looking for it as well. A really good, essentially it's a to-do list app, which is like pretty funny, I think, because it's usually the kind of thing that you build, the first thing that you build when you learn a new, when you want to learn how to build apps, essentially. One of the first apps to build is usually the to-do list app. So this is going to be essentially a to-do list app, but maybe a little bit more advanced than that. But anyway, I think I'm pretty happy with where we're at. So the next stream, I think we're going to start actually building the screens out. And then we might do another stream when we keep designing it and making like the other screens that we're gonna have, like essentially like the alert window or something like that for adding a new task or adding subtasks and those sort of things. But yeah, I hope it was interesting to watch this, and I hope you kind of enjoyed it, and that it was kind of nice to see how I go about designing these things. And like you probably saw, there's not much thought, or there's a lot of thought that goes into it, but it's kind of just winging it in a sense. I just make something up that I think looks good, and hopefully it ends up working out well for this app. So I guess I will see you next Monday. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then I'll see you on Tuesday. All right, so that's it for this stream.